Recording is on. Okay. So yeah, today is the first session of our Splunk Data Admin course. So, am I audible? Uh, It's not breaking, right?
It's not breaking. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, let me introduce myself. So most of you know. So this is Ramany. Uh, I have 4 years of experience in Splunk data onboarding, and I'm working as a trainer as well, one-to-one trainer. And I have my teammate Murugan. He has 6 years of experience in Splunk development and admin. So yeah, so that's a short intro, and let's start today's session. Yeah. Okay, so let me start with today's agenda. So first of all, let me give you a walkthrough of course structure as few of you had some doubts. So let me give a quick overview of how the course is structured, and then we'll proceed with the next topics. And then we'll talk about the communication channel where if you have any doubts, where you have to reach out and all those things. And then on the technical part, let's start with day one, getting started with Splunk, and then day two, setting up your environment, and day three, installing Splunk components. So, for as this is the first session, we'll cover only the first 3 days topic. Yeah. So yeah, let me start with the course structure. So yeah, like I have already informed you all, so we'll give you the access for the live sessions and the recordings, and then with that we have given you a 30 days recorded videos, right? So what the concern what we got is that the videos are short, and some of the videos don't have demo videos. So these are the usual common things which we got the information from you guys. So yeah, that's right. Some of the videos are concept oriented. We structured it that as that so that we can show the live demo in the session only, because that in live demo we'll have more use cases so that it will go as an interactive session. If you have the recorded videos, we'll focus on only one use cases, and that's not going to be useful, that much useful. So that's the reason we have given concept there, and then in the live session we'll be covering the use cases. So yeah, is this clear? Any doubts on this? Okay, let me take it as no. Let's proceed with
Just
the
to add,
next.
like, yeah, these recordings also will be added to your each day session. So you can, along with the conceptual videos, these demo videos also will be added, and the handouts also will be attached actually. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that, madam. So you will be getting the mail,
One
like,
second. Is Abhishek, you're speaking? I think I see.
okay.
We are not able to hear you.
You're not audible, Abhishek. Can you maybe try reconnecting your mic, like headphones?
Okay, maybe you can type your comments for now. Yeah.
Okay.
It depending upon the course you have taken, Abhishek. So if you have taken for 1 year, it will be available for 1 year. If it is 5 years, it will be available 5 years. Depends on the course. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
So yeah. Okay then, let's proceed with the next one. No else questions from anyone, right? We can proceed, right? Yeah. Okay. I'll take that as no. So yeah, as for the communication channel, like we have conveyed, we have a discussion forum, WhatsApp discussion group, where you will get the fastest response. Me and my team will be there. We'll be assisting you if there is any queries, and also your fellow learners will also be there. If it is the repeated query, yeah, they can help you, or else we'll be there to assist you. So the quickest response you can get is from the WhatsApp forum. Yeah. And then the next one, if you're not getting answered or if you have any other queries, you can reach out in the mail. But the response will be a little bit delayed comparatively to the discussion forum. And then the last one is WhatsApp direct message. The thing is, if you are asking for any technical doubts in the direct message, we won't be able to assist you in that. Like it will take more time. So if you have any technical doubts, please post it in the discussion forum. Other than that, if you have any doubts regarding the course plan or something like that, yeah, you can reach out to us in the direct message. That's not an issue. This is one thing we have to convey, because if it is a technical doubt, the other people may also get the same doubt. So it will be helpful for all of us. It will save all of us time. That's the reason. Okay, now let's move on. Yeah. So for the day one content, getting started with Splunk, we have three topics. Most of you, I think it will be aware of it, but since this is also for a beginners, we are starting with basics. Okay. So the first topic will be how to create Splunk account, and then where to download a Splunk Enterprise, and where to download Universal Forwarder. So this is the first day one topic which we are going to cover, and then the day two topic, setting up your environment. So in this, we are going to see how to request developer license and what is developer license, the license concept, and then you will be working on creating a lab setup in AWS. In that, you will learn how to create AWS EC2 instance today, and then the tools to be installed, which we are frequently using. So that those tools will suggest you. If it is useful for you, you can do it, or else whatever you already using, you can use that as well. We'll see that in detail. And day three, installing Splunk components. So the first thing, before installing the Splunk Enterprise, we should know the minimum hardware requirements. So we'll be talking about the minimum hardware requirements required, and then before installing, we should do some checks. So that's the checks we are going to see: pre-installation checks, and then installation of Splunk Enterprise and installation of Splunk Universal Forwarder. So these are the things which we plan for today. Okay. If no one has any questions, we can move on to the content. Okay, I take that as no. So yeah. Okay. So for the day one, we are going to start with how to create a Splunk account. So like most of you know, we'll be going to the splunk.com account, splunk.com, and here you have a login option and sign up option. So if you are using it for the first time, you can use the sign up option, and you can enter all your details, and yeah, agree to the terms and conditions and click on create your account. You will receive a mail, activation mail, to your mail ID, whatever you have given here, and with that you will get your Splunk account activated. That's it. So that's how to create a Splunk account. So now I already have an account, so I'm going to log in. So yeah, I have already pre-populated my username and password. So let me log into it. So to download Splunk Enterprise, all the Splunk related components, you have to have the access of splunk.com. So within this, under the products, free trials and download, you have all the components available. So the Splunk Enterprise and the Universal Forwarder. That's what we are going to focus today. So I'm going to click on get my free trial. So yeah, by default, you will be redirected to the latest version of the Splunk. Okay, so this is the latest version of the Splunk. When you click on get free trial, you will be redirected to the latest version of the Splunk where you can download it. So here, if you observe, we have installation packages for 3 different OSs. So Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. You can download it for whichever you want. For today, we'll be doing the hands-on on Linux. So I will show you how to like downloading on the Windows. Okay, you can just click on download now. Yeah, by default, it should start. Yeah, the download has started. So this is .msi file. For Linux, we'll have a different extensions. So let me cancel that for now. It's not. Yeah. So this is for Windows .msi format, and the Linux you have 3 different formats for various kernel distributions, and then Mac OS you have 2 different packages. So this is the latest version, how to download the latest version. So what else if you have to download it previous versions, right? In some companies, they might be still using 8-point versions or 9-point beginning versions. So in that case, you have to click on here, previous releases. So yeah, scroll down, and then here you will be able to find all the releases before the latest version. All the previous releases will be available here, and you can also see the release notes. And here also you have the three options to download it for a various OS. So this is for the Splunk Enterprise. Similarly, you can also install. You can also download the Universal Forwarder. Get my free trial. Yeah. So here, since this universal forwarder can be is used to forward the data, collect the data, and forward the data, it has various installation packages for different OSs. So mostly we'll be using Windows and Linux, and FreeBSD is used on some cases. So yeah, here we have different OS. So by default, this two will be redirected to the latest version. If you want to download it for a previous version, you can always go for previous releases. Yeah. So yeah, likewise, you can see all the previous releases in this page for different OS as well. So yeah, this is the topic for the first one. This is just an overview for the beginners who are getting started with the Splunk. So if we are all okay, if there is any questions, you can shoot it, or we can for the next class.
Yeah, Ramani, I have one small question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So
Yeah.
normally when you log into the Splunk, right? When we
Mm-hmm.
created and we logged in, right? So since when we use the free trial, right? So that will be for the
Mm-hmm.
60 days. So again, after 60 days, when we use the same login with the same credentials, so that particular license has been expired, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, right, right.
Yeah. So for every 60 days, we need to go and create a new kind of an account to get
Okay.
because since we are going to use the free one. So how is it?
Mhm. Okay, so that's the next topic which we are going to see, Splunk licenses. So yeah, we'll answer your questions, Abhishek. Yeah. Any other questions, or else we
Uh,
Yeah,
can
I
move
am
on?
good from my side. Yeah.
I just add one
Okay.
point here as well. So every Splunk release, every Splunk, because Splunk Enterprise and Splunk Universal Forwarder, every Splunk release, the Universal Forwarder also will get updated. So the point is, you have to maintain both like Enterprise and Universal Forwarder, like Indexer and Universal Forwarder, same version in your environment. So you can always find the same version in the Universal Forwarder as well. So that's one point to add here.
Okay, so if that is the case, so when we do the upgradation of from the old version to the latest version, right? So that
Right.
point of time, are we going to do the upgradation from both the universal and the
Right.
enterprise, or how is it?
Yeah, that is the standard process, Splunk suggested process. If you're upgrading, keep everything in the latest version, unless you have any business requirement.
Okay, and so the next question is be like, so what is the process means process in the sense like whether we need to do the universal forwarder the first upgradation or the enterprise should be done the first.
That's a good question. We'll keep it for the future version because future topics, we have a dedicated topic for
Okay,
this.
sure.
There we'll discuss. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good
sure, sure,
question.
sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then let's go to the next topic. Yeah. For the day two, we saw the topic as how to request for Splunk developer license, right? So first of all, why do we need a developer license? So to answer that question, like what you quoted, Abhishek, we'll have only 60 days trial license, and then that too we can index only up to 500 MB of data, right, with the free trial license. So in that case, as a developer, if we have to work on, we have to create an environment, we need to onboard data which is more than obviously 500 MB. So in that cases, we should go for developer license. Okay, this is a free license given by Splunk for the developers with all the developer features enabled. Okay, and all they will also give the full access for all the enterprise Splunk features. Okay, so the why should we go for Splunk developer licenses? It can index up to 10 GB of data, and then it will give full access to all the Splunk enterprise features. So this is the two main reasons, and this is given by Splunk, and this should not be deployed in the production environment. This is entirely for the development purpose. If we are if we are using it for the production environment, that's going to be like violation of terms and conditions. So this should be used for the development environment. And then, yeah. So to apply for the developer license, you can click on this link. I have also given the link in the course material as well. If you can also go through it. And yeah, so in this page, you can click on Splunk Developer Agreement. You can click on this. So here you will be having the agreement. You have to read through it. So this is what we were telling. It should not violate the terms and conditions, right? So we have a big terms and conditions, and then we have to click on I have read and agree to the terms and conditions, and you have to click on submit. Once you click on submit, by default, the document application will be submitted to the Splunk team. They will review your profile, and then they will send you the mail through email, like license through the email, and that license will be for 6 months. After that, you have to renew it again. So to renew that, to apply for the license, the same procedure. You have to come to this link and you have to agree to the terms and conditions, and then you can click on submit. If there is any reason they are rejecting it, you will receive a rejection mail. In that case, you can just do the follow-up messages. Sorry, is that okay? Yeah. So in that case, if there is any, you have to send a follow-up message to the team, and then they will get back to you asking the reason why you need the developer license. If they send the rejection mail, you don't have to worry why it is rejected, because we faced that in the beginning. So now, since Cisco has taken over the Splunk, their review process is also like so slow, and they are taking time and they are reviewing the profile, and then they are issuing the license. So it will take some time. So that may be the reason they will be asking for they will be rejecting your license application. So yeah, so that's how we should apply for the developer license.
And just one point here, Ramani. So for
Mhm.
people who are watching this from US and UK, by default, your mails are being, I mean, your requests are being like declined in sometimes, like if it is the new account. So yeah, as Ramani was mentioning, we have to drop an email explaining the situation. Sometimes that time also it will get rejected. So this is like completely from Splunk company side. It's their decision to reject it. But yeah, if you are from India, so don't worry. As soon as you request, you'll get it. If not, you'll have to explain them. So if you do these two steps, you'll get it. So that's the thing.
Is there any doubts on this process? We'll see the types of license, but yeah, on this process, is it clear? Yeah. Okay, then we'll take it as no, and we'll proceed with the next topic. So yeah, so the next topic is what are the type of license available. So we said developer license, we have a trial license. So we also said in the production that we shouldn't use the developer license. In that case, what is the license we should use in the production? So so to answer all those questions, so here we have given only three licenses. So the developer license, as we discussed, it will give you the full features to the all the Splunk feature, full access to all the Splunk features, and then to the Splunk developer tools. Okay, it expires in 6 months, and it can index up to 10 GB of data. Okay, so when we are downloading the Splunk, right? So that time you will by default have the Splunk trial license. So this one. So it will enable you access for all the features for first 60 days, and it can index up to only 500 MB of data. So this is the trial license, Abhishek, which you were asking. So this is the trial license. So when this license is getting expired, by default, the Splunk will automatically have a free license in it. So that will be activated. This is not going to expire, but the issue is you won't be able to access all the features here. It will have only limited features. So you won't be able to do development activities like clustered environment creation. So that kind of activities it won't be able to do with the free license. So this is the order. So if you have a developer license, sorry, by default you will have a Splunk trial license. If that expires, it will move on to the free license. So this is for what do you say, development purposes. So in the production, what is the case? So for the production, the companies will talk to the Splunk sales team, and then based on the data which they are going to index for their project, they are going to talk with the sales team, and the sales team going to issue the license. Like they will get the requirements, and based on that they will give a certain license, a production license, enterprise license, that is enterprise license. They will give the enterprise license which can index up to whatever. Like let's say in my company, I'm working on a project. I have 100 GB of data to be indexed. So in that case, I can reach out to the Splunk sales team and I have to tell them that I have this requirement. I need to index 100 GB of data. So that time they will be giving issuing the 100 GB of data, and obviously that's going to cost like cost basis on the enterprise level. So that is enterprise license which should be used in the production. So this is the difference between the developer license and the production license, whatever we've been talking. So yeah, is this clear? Can we move on to the next topic? Okay, I'll take that as no. Yeah. So we were saying, right? We can index only up to 10 GB of data, 500 MB of data, and yeah, for enterprise 100 GB of data. So we were talking all those, right? So what happens if we are going to try to index data more than that? Okay, that should be a question, right? A valid question. We can index up to data whatever the limit they are giving, but what if suddenly I got a like 100 like 15 GB of data instead of 10 GB? I try to index into the Splunk with the developer license. In that case, what will happen? Okay, so it will index the data. That's not an issue. Okay, but it will if you keep doing that repeatedly, that's going to cause a violation. We'll see what is violation. Okay, so let's say for the license size, we have less than 100 GB of data. In that, we can give two categories. So the Splunk version 6.5 to 8.1.0. If you are doing 5 or more warnings in the sense if you have exceeded the license limit, it is less than 100 GB. If you have indexed 110 GB for continuously 5 times or 5 times, you will receive warnings. You will keep receiving warnings whenever you exceed the license. Then, if you have received this 5 or more warnings in a 30-day, last 30 days, rolling window, that's a rolling window, last 30 days, it will keep counting for the last 30 days. In that case, you will receive a violation. Okay, and then this is for 6.5 to 8.1 version. Above that, you will receive 45 or more warnings. Okay, you have the limit of 45 warnings. You can index the data, but if it is occurring for 45 times, like if you are getting for, data more than the specified license limit, if you are like getting it for 45 times, it is the pattern, right? So you should obviously go for a higher license size. So if it keeps going on in the last 60 days, then that is going to cause you a violation. Right? If the license is going to be 100 greater than 100 GB and the version is 6.5 and above, 45 or more warnings. So the warnings you are going to receive when you index data more than the license size. And in the last 60 days, if you keep doing this pattern for the last 60 days, you are going to receive violation. So what we are calling violation is the violation is caused. What is violation? If it is violated, what is going to happen? That time you won't be able to search any data in your Splunk. Whatever the data you have indexed, you won't be able to make any searches on those data. So that is the violation that will be caused. Uh, is that clear? Do you guys have any doubt on this?
And this 100 GB, it's per day, right?
Yeah, that's per day. So
Per
whatever
day.
the license size, that's going to be per day license.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think we can proceed. Okay, now let's go for the lab setup plan. So for the starting, we are going to create 3 EC2 instances, and in those 3 EC2 instances, we are going to create a universal forwarder, indexer, and the searcher. We are going to deploy all the 3 components. So this is the lab setup we have planned. Now let's go and see how to create AWS EC2 instances. Let me share. Yeah, I have already logged into my AWS. So to practice in the AWS, you have to create a free trial account that is valid for 1 year. So you can create a AWS free trial account, and there you can work on this. So in that, I'm going to create an EC2 instance. So let me go to the EC2 service under instances. So since we are going to deploy 3 different components, I have to create 3 instances. So launch instance. So the first one is universal forwarder. And for today's demo, we are going to practice on Red Hat as it is most commonly used Linux OS nowadays. So let me go with Red Hat. And let's keep this as a Red Hat Linux 9. And then for the instance type, I'm going to select T2 medium. We'll see this why we are using in the next topic. I'm selecting T2 medium, which has 2 virtual CPU and 4 GB RAM. Okay. Yeah. Now for the key pair value, I'm going to create a new pair. Create new pair. Let me. So key pair type is RSA and .pem file. Let's click on create key pair. Yeah. So the file is downloaded. So we need this security file to connect to the EC2 instance. So once you create it, by automatically it will be selected. Now to create the security group, I'm allowing traffic, SSH traffic, HTTPS and HTTP. And then I'm going to configure storage as 30. This is a lab setup, so we don't need to go for the ideal like requirements, which we'll see in the next topic. So whatever I have given here, please go with that. For lab setup, these specifications is enough. So let's launch this instance. Okay, so we have created 1 instance. Now let's create 2 more for the indexer and search it. So that is one method to launch only one instance, to create only one instance. So if you want to create a more number of instances, directly here number of instances you can give whatever the number you want. Here I'm giving 2, and then we can select whatever the specifications we require. T2 medium. Key value pair we have already created, so let's use the same one. Please don't create again and again, it's not required. We can use the same key value pair. And then for the security group as well, since we created already one, that should be available. Let me select the last one which we did, and then I'll keep the storage as 30 GB3. Yeah, let's launch the instance. So yeah, since we have given the number of instances to create this, so let's give the name here. One name as indexer. The next one as search. So yeah, this is how we should create the indexer, search, and EC2 instances. Guys, please give me a minute once again. Yeah, sorry, I'm back. Is the screen visible? Okay. So
Yeah.
Abhishek has asked a question. So in a single day, we will get violation only once, or depending upon the multiple time violation, we will get multiple warnings. Okay. In a single day, you will get only one warning. Okay. And depending upon the multiple time violation, we will get multiple warning. So in a single day, if you are indexing more than that data, you are going to receive only one warning. So if you keep doing that in the last 30 days or last 60 days window, that's going to be the count. For one day, that it's only one warning. I hope that answered your question. Yeah. Right. So let this status check also change it to change from initializing. Then yeah. So this is how we should create the EC2 instances. I hope that's clear. Do you guys have any doubt on the steps? If no, yeah, then let's proceed with the next one. Okay. So we have created three EC2 instances. So to deploy the Splunk, we'll see in the next topic. Yeah. So tools to be installed on your laptop. So this is completely optional. So these are the things which we are using frequently in our day-to-day life. The Splunk Enterprise on your local and mobile external. That's basically a terminal which I'll be using in the next topic. And Git for Windows and a GitHub account and Notepad++, Python to be the latest version to be installed, and the 7-zip to package your files. So this is most commonly used tools in our laptop. So if you have space, then please install, or else don't take risk. So yeah, main reason, don't install Splunk Enterprise if your laptop can't handle it. Okay.
And I would suggest like mobile XTEM to use everyone to use mobile XTEM because it has all the other benefits like not only just CLI, it has all the other like automation tools which we can get benefited from. I personally like mobile XTEM. Yes, when you get a work like installing Splunk Enterprise in 10 servers or like Industrial Forward in 10 servers, you can do it at a time. So those kind of things which you cannot do it in command prompt or like a Git bash. Yeah, I would suggest to it.
Okay. So we can. So day two content is almost done. So do you guys have any doubt on whatever we saw, the license part or EC2 instance creation? You want us to do this, or we want to? You can do it later, Abhishek. That's not an issue. You don't have to do it simultaneously. Just listen. This recording will be available to you. You can practice whenever you want.
That's the whole point of having the weekdays free for you guys. So Saturday and Sunday is going to be like a live demo, live session with us. So you are going to see and get it recorded. And weekdays you have going to have 6 days. You can practice it one by one and ask the questions. So that's the plan. Yeah.
Okay. If there is no questions with the day two, we can move to the day three.
One, I have one more question. So when we talk about the licenses, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
have that when we use this 60-day trial license or the free license,
Mm-hmm.
trial license, right? So after 60 days, it will be expire, right? So how we are going to because this particular course is more than 100 days, right? So how we are going to continue with the rest 30 days of that one? Because it's
Okay.
whatever the things we do, it will be like we are not able to access that in access in the sense like we are not if anything new need to be done, we're not able to use that features, right?
Right. So that's the reason. The first, in the second day itself, we are telling you to request for a developer license. So using this license, once you receive the license, you can install the license, and then you will be able to access all the features for 6 months. Okay.
Okay,
So you
but
won't be.
developer license, yeah, developer license is all depend upon, right? If they reject it, then means are we going to do means ask for the same license multiple time or how is it?
Yeah. You can try with like 2 to 3 mail IDs. So mostly for Indian people, they are not rejecting that much, as far as we
Okay,
have seen. So you can apply. They rarely reject. So
Mhm.
nowadays, like for Indian accounts, like based on our clients and the community, what we are discussing, for Indian
Hmm.
people, there is no issues. Only issue with
Okay.
US and UK. Yeah, don't worry
Okay,
about it.
sure. Yeah. Okay.
And
Thank you.
that too, if they do a follow up 1 or 2 times, they are receiving the license. So it's not an issue. You will be able to receive it.
So anything extra need to be added when we do the follow up, like what for what reason we are doing it or how is it?
Yeah, right. When you're asked if you follow up, they are obviously going to ask the reason why you need the developer
Yeah.
license, and they are just making sure that you are not going to use it for the production, and they just want to keep a track of what people are doing with the developer license. So that's the reason. You can just state it that I'm using it for my development activities to learn. You can mention learning. That's a valid
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Use
Sure. Okay.
ChatGPT. ChatGPT can give you like a sarcastic or like maybe diplomatic response. I used it like when I got rejected like last year, I believe. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's just a
Okay. Sure.
formality. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. Any questions? Any other questions? Okay, I'll take that as no. Let's move on to day three then. So yeah, in the day three, as we discussed, we are going to see the minimum hardware requirements. So we have seen like we have to install the Splunk Enterprise as an indexer, searcher, and then universal forwarder, right? So Splunk by itself, it has given a hardware requirements, minimum hardware requirements. Okay, in that only the Splunk, if you have that specifications only, the Splunk will work normally, or else you will have some abnormal behaviors if you are going below that. So that's the reason they have given the minimum requirement. If you want the Splunk to be working as expected, whatever the features you are accessing, it should work as whatever you are expecting. Then you should minimum, as a minimum, have all these hardware requirements. Okay. So for ideal minimum requirement for indexer, so they have also given for different deployment components. We have different components, right? For those components, they have given different minimum requirements based on its usage, because indexer is going to store your data. So in that case, it need a large amount of disk. So based on that, they have given the values. So for the CPU, you need at least 12 physical core or 24 virtual CPUs at 2 gigahertz. Okay, and then for memory, you should have 12 GB RAM. This is entirely for productions. Okay, for lab setup, we can go for minimum. That's not an issue. For production, you should have these minimum requirements. Then only you should be able to work on the Splunk Enterprise. And then for the disk, since the main purpose of indexer to store the data and to execute the searches, like to retrieve the search, so you should have the high performance storage, and that minimum value, the minimum disk space you should have is 500 GB. This is recommended by Splunk. And then OS, 64-bit Linux, most preferred for the indexer. So since we are using only lab setup, you don't need these many. So you can go for the minimum minimum requirements, minimum specs. So you can go for two virtual CPUs. If you remember, for the when we are creating the EC2 instances, we selected D2 medium. Okay, so in the D2 medium, we'll only have two virtual CPUs, and it will have memory of 4 GB RAM, and we have selected the storage as 30 GB 3 and Red Hat Linux OS. So this is enough for whatever we are going to do. If we are going to do more than that, we can scale it after that. For now, for the lab setup, this is more than enough. To index some sample data and to run the basic things, this is enough. So this is for the indexer. Now for the search head. So the search head will be using more CPU, okay, instead of storage. Indexer will use more storage like disk, but search head will focus on CPU. Since it is going to run the searches, it need more CPU. So that's the reason here we have 16 physical core and 32 virtual CPUs at 2 gigahertz, and the memory that's similar, 12 GB RAM, and then disk. So here it's minimum they have specified as 250 GB. We don't need up to whatever we have specified in the indexer. In indexer we have given 500 GB, right? Here it's 250 GB is enough. And for the OS, yeah, preferred is 64-bit Linux. So similarly for the search it also we are using the same configurations for the lab setup. So this is fine for now. And then this is for search it. For the UF, yeah. For the CPU, they have a UF is going to be is a forwarding tool which is going to be installed on a different servers where we have different applications running on it. So it's going to be a lightweight tool to forward your data. So these are the minimum requirements specified. So we don't need whatever we have specified for the indexer and search it in case of the UF. So for the CPU, you can use 1.5 gigahertz, and for the memory, you should have 512 MB RAM. MB is fine. 512 MB RAM is fine, and the disk it should have minimum of 5 GB. And the OS, yeah, this universal forwarder can run fine on both Linux and Windows. That's not an issue. So here we are going to use the UF, the same configuration for all the three, because in this UF instance we are going to install some other data sources going forward. So that's the reason I have kept quite a high configurations here. So yeah, this is the minimum hardware requirements. Do you guys have any doubt before we are proceeding to the pre-installation checks?
Yeah, Ramya. So if you could just
Mm.
explain about something in terms of the real, right? I mean, the real time. Like, for
Mm.
example, when we go with on the real time, right? So people are using, or in one of my customer also. So there we have a kind of an 8 TB of data, right? So that point of time per day. So that point of time, what should be the ideal the requirement which need to be discussed, or any kind of an calculator or online calculator you people use to just to understand, okay, if you have 2 TB of data or 5 TB of data, so this particular requirement should be there and all.
Okay. So that is like we do have some calculation, like the method to calculate, but not the calculator. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah, anything will
that
fine. Yeah,
right. So that's going to be covered in the ongoing classes, because
okay,
that
okay.
is also we are going to onboard data sources from different sources, right? Like data from different sources. So we are going to use that to calculate whatever the index and whatever storage we are going to require. So we'll be seeing that in the future classes. Abhishek.
Okay, so you mean to say whenever we choose for the hardware requirement, so that all
Hmm.
depend upon what type of the log sources or the number of the log sources need to be deployed to the particular environment or particular location or the zone wise, correct?
Exactly. That's right. That's right. If you have a large, like let's say 100 GB of data, but you have only 50 GB allocated from client side, we can't index all those data, right? So we
Correct.
should do the calculations. So yeah, we will. We that is purely based on whatever the data we are going to onboard and whatever the factors which you said, mainly on the data volume. Yeah,
Okay, sure,
Morgan,
sure.
I can feel
This,
your
this, no,
excitement. Please go
this
ahead.
is the answer which you are going to discover it in next 100 days. So there are a lot of factors and everything. Yeah. So the 8 TB of data, what is the storage and capacity requirements? This is admin responsibility. So there are a lot of factors and the environment everything. So yeah, there is a big calculation and big list of topics you have to consider. We will
Yeah,
go through that. But yeah,
yeah. Okay, sorry for that if I means adding any extra the previous or the future, because
Mm,
in this question come into picture, so I the mind came upon, because we do like that when, and we required that particular answers also, okay, how we calculate it, and because the client also required the same thing, right? So when you do the initial deployment of any of the Splunk, that point of time in the planning phase we need to discuss, okay, what is the total whatever the specification you required for this. So I have this particular one, and how many indexer you wanted to create, like, so depending upon that, so that's the reason I thought, like, if you have any kind of an fact, what are the different factors and how you calculate it, might be in future we'll learn, but so since we're discussing, so I have asked this particular one.
yeah. We
no issues
respect it. I
actually.
have.
Yeah.
And just to like one concern, like for this is for everyone. Like you can ask your question, but our intention is it should not eat up the whole time for today.
Yeah,
As long as
correct,
you're
correct.
asking the question, we are noting down. It is fine. So that is the reason we are not explaining everything in whenever you're asking. But please do ask your questions, or you can put it in the chat also. You are free to ask your questions, but we won't be answering it if we are planning it in the future. But thanks for asking all your questions on this.
Yeah, sure, sure. Means you can make a note, so that means if it
Exactly.
is in the near future, definitely you just make means you tell
Yeah.
us, okay, this will discuss in the near
Exactly.
future, so that we can also park it, and I'll also note my things. Okay, this is
Exactly.
what we'll discuss future. Yeah,
Good,
sure.
yeah.
Thank you.
But thanks a lot for all your questions. Huh? It's good.
Yeah, sure.
Right. It's actually, we can explain, right? We can say like it's going to be continued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as on this minimum hardware requirements, any other questions? If no, we can go for the next topic, pre-installation checks. Okay, let's go and see what happened to the instances. So yeah, everything is running. It is fine. So now we have three Linux servers. Okay, so whatever we have created is three Linux EC2 instances. Now on this, we are going to install Splunk Enterprise on Indexer and Search Head and the Universal Forwarder on the Universal Forwarder instance. So that's what we are going to do. So, in the real time, in the production environment, if you are working on a project, so that time you can't just go and directly install your Splunk Enterprise on the Linux machine, whatever they are giving. That shouldn't be the case because there might be already an issue in the Linux instance, or some specifications might not be what we are asking for. So in that cases, we should have certain pre-installation checks done. Okay, so yeah, let me tell you what are the checks which we should do. Please give me a time, minute, guys. So, okay. In the meantime, let me go and connect to the instances where we can see it in live. We open mobile external. So yeah, this is the mobile external. Let's start a local terminal. Yeah. So first, let's install Universal for. No, let's go with the indexer. That's when we'll be able to see all the pre-installation checks. So let's go with indexer. So to connect to this instance, we have created an instance. To connect to this instance, click on that instance and click on connect. So here we are going to use SSH client command. So here, if you remember, we had a PEM file installed in our system. So we should go to that location to connect to this instance. We should have that security, we should navigate to where that security file is available, and then we should be able to connect to this instance, or else we won't be able to connect. So to navigate to that instance, I have it in my downloads folder, since if you remember, it just got downloaded. So we should navigate to the downloads folder. So, one minute, guys. 1 minute. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Yeah, sorry, guys. I didn't enroll on my course, so I couldn't show the course page to you. I was giving access to myself. Yeah, is the screen visible?
No, not yet.
Okay. I'll share again. Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for the confirmation. So where are we? Okay. Let me connect to the instance. Okay. So to connect to this instance, I'm in my downloads folder. Let me copy paste this SSH command. Yeah, we are connected to that instance. So this is how we should connect to the EC2 instance, whatever we have downloaded. So now we are connected to the indexer. Now for the pre-installation checks, yeah, let me go to the course page. Is the course page visible? Yeah. Okay. So in that, in the third module, pre-installation checks. Yeah. So this is where we have mentioned all the pre-installation checks which you have to do. So we should check them if the minimum hardware requirement condition is compiled. So for that, we should check the OS version, disk partition. So the disk partition is based on whatever the requirement which you are saying. The minimum which we have said, the indexer should have 500 GB. So if you should have the 500 GB for the indexer in the production. When you are checking, you should make sure whatever you are requesting is there. Because if that is not the case and you have started your work with the disk minimum that, and when you start receiving data more than that, that's going to be an issue. At that time, they are going to question you, why didn't you say that as an admin? So we should make sure we are checking all those things before that. And then for the CPU details, you can check, use the LS CPU and memory details. Let's check one by one. Yeah. So let me log in as a root user. Let's check one by one. So basically, whatever we selected in the we selected during EC2 instance creation, that should be given here. So yeah. So we have the name is Red Hat Enterprise Linux and the version is 9.4. So whatever we installed, that is correct. And then for the disk partition, so here we don't have any partition. We just have the EBS storage. Like it should be just a single. Yeah. So by default, this is the split of whatever it has in the EC2 instance. In real time, you will have your own like OBT Splunk folder or different folders in the list. Okay, so this is how we should check the partition. So here, let's say I had a folder Splunk. In that case, it should have 500 MB here, 500 GB. Sorry, for the indexer, we should have 500 GB. So this is the entire storage, whatever we have configured for the 30 GB while creating the EC2 instance. In the production, you don't have to care whatever else is there. You should make sure that whatever partition you have requested, like OPT Splunk, it should have 500 GB of space size. So this is the command to check the disk partition, and then to check the CPU. Okay, so yeah, if you see, we used only two virtual CPU core, right? So yeah, that is correct. Two core is there. So this is not an issue. So this is how we should make sure and we should check whatever we have asked is there or not. And then the memory. Yeah. So we have 3.6 GB. Like we said it was 4 GB, that buffer. 3.6 is there. So whatever we have configured while creating the EC2 instance, those details are correct. Okay. So this is how we should make sure and check the minimum hardware requirement condition is done or not. And then verify if the ports are open. So if you remember, we didn't opened any port while creating the instance. So that is the Linux server which we created. So it should have the ports enabled, right? So, but I didn't open any port now. So even if I install the Splunk, when we are trying to open with the port 8000, it's not going to work because we didn't open anything. So let's go back and then let's open the port in the security group. So here in the instances, So in the security, open the security group. Okay, so if you remember, these things we have selected while creating the EC2 instance, but other than that we didn't give any rules. So we have to open the ports in the inbound rules. Click on edit inbound rules, add rule. We'll keep this as a custom TCP, and here port range. You can open one by one the port, or you can give a range. For now, as this is a lab setup, I'm going to give a port range. Okay, 8000 to 9999, and then I'm going to select the CIDR block as 000. From we can access it basically from anywhere. Yeah. Let's save this. So now we have enabled the port on the launch wizard 3. So now we should make sure that all the 3 instances has the same security group, or else that's going to be an issue. So let me go and make sure the security group is same. Yeah, this is launch wizard 3. So we have already enabled the port in that for the universal forwarder. Yeah. So all the instances has the same security group. So all the ports are enabled. Whatever the ports, the range from 8000 to 9999, all the ports are open. So that basically covers whatever we have mentioned here. So what are these ports? We will be seeing going forward when we are doing all those use cases one by one. So this is the web port which we are going to check in the to log into the Linux. So sorry, Splunk. So this is one. So we have verified if the ports are open. Yes, now the ports are open. Now the next condition. Check if the THP is disabled. Okay. So what do you mean THP and why it should be disabled? So THP is a Linux feature, Linux kernel feature that is basically to improve your memory management in the Linux OS. Okay. It will improve the memory management, but in terms of Splunk's point of view, that's going to affect the index's performance, the THP factor. So if you need more details on THP, I'll attach a link. I already have that in the next text in this. So you can read that through and check how the Splunk is getting affected if the THP is enabled. Okay. For now, we should make sure and check that THP is disabled. So to check that, I'll copy this command and we'll paste it. Sorry. Okay. Now if you see, always, madwise, never. So the bracket is within the bracket, always value is there. That means this THP is enabled. Okay. So we should put the bracket here. The never should be within the bracket. Then only it means the THP is disabled. Okay. So we have to change that value, and we should also check this value. Both these values should be never. Let me paste it here and we'll check this. Yeah, here if you see, it's madness. You don't have to care about what that is. The Linux team should handle that. So you should know where to check and how to change it. If they are doing any changes to that, you should know what they are changing. That is enough. You don't have to learn all the concepts there. Yeah. Thanks, Mohan. Thanks for sharing the link. Yeah. Okay. So now we have seen that a never should be enabled. The value should be the value within the bracket should be never. So we have to change that. To do that, we also have that. Okay. If you scroll down, so we have also given you the script to disable the THP. Okay. So let's disable it now. So we are already as a root user now. You can just execute whatever the steps given here. This is we have tried it so many times and it works. So that's not an issue. We are basically creating a script to change the value. That's it. I'm just skipping this because we have already seen that. Okay. Now, so this is the script which is going to disable the THP. Shift insert. So the script is given. Now let's save this file. Okay. Now let's check it if that value is correct or not. Yeah, the file has whatever the script which we have seen. Basically, the file is saved. Yeah. So if you see, this file is there. Whatever the file, script file which we created is here. But if you see, that file doesn't have the permission, the executable permission. So we have to change that. So that's the reason we are using the chmod. Let's change the permission and let's try it again. Yeah. So now that is executable. And then this is to add this configuration, this script to run. Now we have to reboot the server. Maybe let's reboot it later. We have view limit configuration as well. We'll do that and then we'll reboot that. So we have disabled the THP. Okay. Now we have a condition that U limit has to be increased. Okay. U limit is nothing but a set of rules in a computer that specifies what program can access the resources. Like let's say we have the Splunk, right? So Splunk should be able to access only certain amount of system resources. So there is that values can be set in the U limit. Now let's check what are the values. So those values will by default be low because by default they won't allow the system by default won't allow all the programs to use more system resources because it will affect the performance. So we have to increase that value in terms of while we are trying to use the Splunk. Yeah. So if you see to open files, it is only 1024. And what else? Max user processes is low. So these values should be high. That is also given here. So you can refer this link. Okay. So what are the values that is suggested by the Splunk is given in that Splunk documentation. So for now, I have given those values. Okay. So these values we are going to apply it there. To do that, let's go to CD security, etc security. In the limits.conf, we are going to increase these U limit values. Let's copy this value. You can just copy paste it. You don't have to change anything. Just come to the end of the file and paste it after that. Let's paste it at the end. Yeah, so we have pasted those values. Let's save this file. Right, the file is saved. So we have increased the value and we have also disabled the THP. Now let's reboot this. Okay, it will take some time. So yeah, let's wait for it to be rebooted. So before that, so we have to check the NTP sync status the next step. This is not applicable in the R lab environment now, but in the production, you should check the NTP sync status. So you may have servers from different regions, and they will have a NTP server to maintain the network time protocol. So in that case, you should make sure that is in sync. It is synchronized. So you have to run this command in the servers whatever you are using, and you have to check, and it should display the value as synchronized, or else you have to confirm with the team and you have to do that, and then you have to proceed with the next step, or else the timestamp will get affected, and there will be a lot of issues going forward. So yeah, the server is rebooted. Now let's check if the values are changed or not. Yeah. So if you see, it was the bracket was within the bracket, the value was always, it is never now. And the T flag. Yeah. So the THP is updated. The THP is disabled now. Now let's again check if check the values of U limit. Okay. Now if you see, all those values are updated with whatever we have given, most are unlimited, and you can see the difference, the open files. Mainly the files, open file limit should be increased because Splunk is going to use a lot of files. So yeah, we have made that as 64,000. So this is how we should increase the U limit and disable the THP. And basically we have checked all these things. Now we have to set the host name. So if you see, now it is the IP address. We don't need that. We should name that so that it will be, you don't confuse it, and that is a best practice to set the name, host name for whatever the servers you are using. So to set the host name, let me get host name CTL, set host name. Yeah, this is indexer, right? It's name indexer. I'm just switching the user so that it gets updated. So yeah, now you can observe that host name is updated. So these are the pre-installation checks which should be done. Okay. So make sure you are checking all these in the productions before installing the Splunk. Okay. It will save a lot of time if there is if in case of there is any issues already existing in the server before you are installing Splunk. So these checks should be done on the searcher as well. For now, let's skip that, okay? Because this is the lab environment, the U limit and THP is not going to affect that much. So let's proceed with that. But ideal practices, you have to disable the THP and U limit should be increased. Make sure you're checking all these in the production. Now let's continue to the installation of Splunk. So yeah, this is the course link, right? We have all the commands given here. You can just do the same thing. Okay, let me. Before that, is there any doubts on the pre-installation checks before moving on to the installation of Splunk Enterprise? Okay.
No, Ramya.
Okay, thanks, Abhishek. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the installation of Splunk Enterprise on the indexer. So we have already logged into the server. So let's skip all these things. So we are already logged in as a root user and then create user. So now we are going to create a Splunk user. And then let's create a group. When you're creating a user, the group will automatically be created. This is just to make sure the group is created or not. So yeah, the group is already exist. So we have to make a directory for OPT Splunk where we are going to install the Splunk. And then, yeah, no. Let's check the owner of this OPT Splunk. So the owner is root user. So we are going to change that as a Splunk user because yeah, Splunk user is the user which we are going to use to access the Splunk files. So ch1. Let's run the same command. Yeah, the owner is changed. Now we are going to install the, download the Linux version from the Splunk like Splunk website, right? Sorry, Abhishek, do you have any questions?
Ramani, one question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when we put this Splunk, right? So what is the minimum permission? Is any kind of an a root permission, or what type of permission we're giving here when you create any user Splunk, right?
Right. Okay. So what is the? Please
It's
continue.
not the root permission as Abhishek. So we have to create a separate service credentials that should have the ownership of that directory. You see, there is a
Sorry, I cannot
OPT.
hear you.
Um, hello,
Yeah.
am I audible?
Abhishek,
No.
Hello.
am I
Please.
audible to you, Abhishek? I can hear you.
Okay.
Abhishek, can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay.
Hello,
Abhishek, can
Abhishek.
you
We
hear
can hear
us?
you. Okay, I think Abhishek is having some network issue. But yeah, answer to his, maybe he can watch the recording for the answer. So answer to Abhishek's question is like, it's not a root permission or something. You see, the one like we are creating a directory and we are changing the ownership. The Splunk user should have a ownership for this directory. So Splunk user need not to have a root access. Actually, we should not have a root access for Splunk user. So that is the I know point is Splunk suggesting also, do not install Splunk as a root user. So this is highly recommended. So you have to create a separate user, create a separate directory, and for that directory, provide all the ownership to the Splunk. And for any other directory Splunk needs access, so you should enable ownership, maybe access specifically, but not a root user account, not a root. It's a separate new user.
Abhishek, are you there?
I think he is there, but looks like some
Okay.
network issue. But yeah, if you need more clarification, we can at the end of this session we can discuss a lot more on this one. Yeah, for now we can proceed with this. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So we need wget package installer. So let's install that as well. Right. Now we have installed whatever we need as a root user. Now we have to switch to the Splunk user and then we have to install the Splunk. Like Morgan said, we should not install the Splunk as a root user. So let's switch to the Splunk user. So let's go to the home directory of Splunk. Then, yeah, I have already updated the new latest version link here. You can use that, or you can always go and get the link which we discussed in the first topic. Okay, so we have installed the tar package. Now we have to extract it. Yeah. So the file is extracted. Now we have to accept the license of the Splunk. So here you will be prompted to enter the administrator username and the password. I'm going to give the administrator username as admin and the password. Right. Now our Splunk is all ready. The one thing which we have to do is we have to enable the boot start. Okay, so whenever the server is getting started, it should start with the server and not it should not be stopped. So for that we have to enable the boot start. That's the only step remaining. Other than that, we should be able to see the indexer. Yeah. To enable the boot start, we should do that as a root user. Yeah. So yes, this is installed and configured. The boot start is installed and configured. So that's it. So the Splunk Enterprise is installed on the indexer. Now let's verify if we are able to see that in the UI. Yeah. To see the UI, copy the public IPv4 address, paste it, 8000. I'll make sure it's HTTP, not HTTPS. 8000. Right, our indexer is ready. So let me log in with whatever the credentials which we have given while accepting the license. So that's it. We have successfully installed the Splunk Enterprise. Now, if you want to check if the version is correct or not, you can always go to Help About. So here you can verify the version. Yeah. So the Splunk Enterprise is installed on the indexer. You can follow the same procedure for the searcher as the timing is little low. Let me proceed with the Universal Forwarder installation. Okay. If you guys have doubt, you can always reach out to us if you are facing any issues while installing the Splunk Enterprise. Okay, let me open a new terminal. So here as well. Okay. Now for the Universal Forwarder, we have the steps. So, yeah. Let me connect to the Universal Forwarder's instance. Connect. Copy the SSH command. Paste it here. Right. You are logged in. Now let me log in as a root user and let me just set the host name. Okay. That is enough command. So yeah, you might get a question if we need to do the pre-installation checks on the while installing the Universal Forwarder. But in now we are using a separate server for the Universal Forwarder installation. But in real time, it won't be that case. You will have a lot of data sources in a particular server, and there you might be need to install the Universal Forwarder on that. So that time, so this pre-installation steps is not applicable. Okay, it is applicable for the Splunk Enterprise, not for the Universal Forwarder. Just make sure you're keeping the host name also. It's applicable now, but in real time, it depends on whatever the client has decided as a host name. So it is not applicable. So for now, for our reference, I'm keeping it as a UR. Yeah. So the host name is set. So let me quickly do the installation. So similarly, we are going to create a Splunk user. Okay. Right. So here we are going to make a directory as a Splunk forwarder. For the enterprise, we created OPT Splunk. Here we are using OPT Splunk forwarder. Let's change the owner of this folder to the Splunk user. Let's verify it. Yeah, for the forwarder, the owner is Splunk. Now, similarly, we have to install the wget package installer. Yeah, it's done. Now we have to switch as a Splunk user, and then we are going to install the universal forwarder. Let's copy paste this. Yeah, let me extract the downloaded file. Yeah, the universal forwarder file is extracted. Now let's navigate to the bin folder and then let's accept the license. So here, if you see, I have given the password here itself. So you can do that as well. So by default, it will be taking the admin as an administrator username if you're not specifying. And the password, we are passing it using the seed password option. Yeah. So that's it. We have installed the universal forwarder. So here as well, you should enable the boot start. So to do that, so in this case, you have to stop the universal forwarder and then you have to enable it. Even if you try starting the, enable the boot start directly, it will prompt you to start or stop it. That's how the universal forwarder is designed. Yeah. So the boot start is enabled. Now let's start the universal forwarder. So yeah, that's it. Let's check the status and its conformance. Yeah, the universal forwarder is run. So that's it, guys. We have installed the indexer and universal forwarder. Search it. Let's do it later. Like you can do it as a homework or whenever you get a time. When you are setting it up, try to install the searcher as well. The same procedure. You can use the same thing and same steps to do the installation. So that's it. Do you guys have any doubts on this?
Saturday night. So
Yeah. We are so sorry. We didn't get a proper timing, so that's the reason we are keeping at this time to accommodate all the people. So
okay, we can wait for a few more minutes, and if we don't have any questions at this point of time, we can close it. And always, like, we have a tomorrow session as well. You can have a follow-up for questions tomorrow. And if you have any questions in the weekdays, as Ramani was mentioning in the slides, you can always put it in our discussion forum where you can get answer to your questions very faster. And then email communication will be there to help you. And we are going to stay for 5 more minutes. So if anyone have any questions, we can discuss. Or any feedback or any improvement points you guys suggest.
that's right.
Yeah, I know it's first session, but still, it's my responsibility to ask you feedback so that we can improve. Yeah.
So for the comments, it's already available in the course page. If you need any other information as well, we'll be updating the course pages text. So if you need anything which is not there, you can always ping us. We'll update the course page. So we don't want to give any handouts because it will be like a lot of shuffling here and there. So that's the reason we didn't provided a like particular hands out here. So we whatever the things we have discussed, we'll update all those in the as a text in the course content. You can always refer it in a single place. When the session recording will be updated, yeah. So that will be ready by tomorrow morning maximum, or else you will get the access on Monday morning
Max to
because it
max
will.
Monday morning. Yeah. Monday
Yeah.
morning. So every time, like whenever the next day morning, you can expect. Worst case, 2 days. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello. Yeah, I have a
Yes.
query. I'm just curious. Why are we not installing a heavy forwarder? So that is also a very important Splunk component, right? So
Okay.
just asking. Yeah.
Very good question. So yeah, for now we have just focused on the beginner course, right? So like beginner topics. So that's the reason we stopped with universal forwarder. So even if you want to install a heavy forwarder, there is nothing much. Whatever we did for indexer, you are going to do the same thing. Heavy forwarder is nothing but the Splunk Enterprise. We are just naming it as a heavy forwarder. That's the reason. We are
We
just
actually
using it for
installed it
calling.
today. We actually
Yeah.
installed it today, but
Yeah.
Ramani called it as an indexer. That's it.
Right.
If I call it as a forwarder, heavy forwarder, then that's it. So actually, yeah, in the following days, like it's 100 days content, right? We have heavy forwarder, intermediate forwarder, deep discussion. Yes, that is an important part, which I
Yeah,
like it.
actually, yeah,
Yes.
I missed it to mention that it can be
Ah,
considered as universal. It's a heavy forwarder. So yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
thanks a lot, Abhishek,
Thank you,
and
Abhishek.
thank you for all your questions.
Yeah.
And yeah, good.
Okay. Well, I think we can close the call.
Yeah, yeah, we can stop the recording. We can close the call. We can
Yeah.
continue making things tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll stop the recording.